That means I think we are going. Alrighty. Hello, everyone. Apologies, there is no visuals right now. I'm kind of getting everything set up, so just give me a moment. I just decided to go live, and just to say, I know I said I was going to be doing a Destiny stream today, but I'm also doing a little bit more. I am actually going to react to the active Destiny 2 dev stream again. So, it may be a bold choice, but at the same time, I'm curious how many people are actually going to side with me in this case. Because even looking at it, I know it's not a Bungie reveal, but right now, here, let me actually bring up the screen, anyways. Just because. But yeah, there we go. Right now, there's only 2,400, about to breach 25 people in waiting for the dev stream. And they started this, I want to say like 15 minutes ago. Usually they start it a half hour ahead of time. They have not had nearly the same return, obviously, as they have in the past. And just looking over the chat, let's see how stuff is happening. Sunk Cost Galaxy, Kick Pete, I'll come back. Ed Jaffe, why does the game still have a chokehold on me after all these years? A lot of edging jokes, Pete Parsons jokes, which honestly, let's see if I can find it. I saw one up here that I felt like is just the definition of Destiny sentiment right now. I don't know if I can find it, but it essentially said 2 DLCs for the price of 4. And yeah, that's a big mood when it comes to Destiny and Bungie. See Siva, of course, somebody getting political. More Destiny 1 content. Covering stuff covered multiple times already. I don't know why the entire, or a good portion of the chat is just spamming goon and about gooning in Destiny. It exists, but not really. What are we stealing today, boys? Oh, Jesus Christ. So, yeah, about another 12 minutes until it goes. Got sound off for now just because, well, actually, it is just Destiny music, so might as well just mess with it a little bit, leave it on. But, yes, there is another live stream coming. Supposedly, this is the one they talk more about the activities. Edge of Fate's campaign, major updates, progression in the portal. See, this description already, right here, it feels damning. Because this is stuff they already talked about. Yeah. That doesn't bring a good side. And if they just repeated the same developer... Actually, you know what? Hang on. I'll check that. Let me see if I can find a archive of the various Destiny live streams. Let's see. Gameplay reveal. Well, here. Let me see if I can scroll through the many varieties. See, Mysteries of Kepler. Well, it'll probably be in the live section. Yeah, that would actually be. Let's see. Revenant Act 2, Heresy, Edge of Fate. Let's see. Now, let's check Edge of Fate reveal. If there's a different description on that. See, Edge of Fate, now coming Year of Destiny. Okay, self-explanatory. And then the Tragic developer live stream. Okay, so they actually did change it a little bit. A little bit. But even still, I mean, just looking at the description they got, look at Kepler. We've already looked at Kepler many times. Edge of Fate's campaign. We know it's going to be Metroidvania. It's not going to be linear. Major updates to the core system, like power progression of the portal. Portal is just going to be a menu. There's not really going to be much needed to explain. And supposedly the portal was supposed to be streamlining for activities anyway. They cited that people were confused on what activities need what amount of people to actually get into it. But, it's like all of this sounds like stuff they talked about. The only thing that I don't think they talked about directly was specifics on power. Maybe? But even still, a lot of the Destiny tubers already covered that. Like, I cited Fallout's video in my video covering the passive-aggressive sunsetting. So, I don't know. It's still just such a messy ordeal. Bungie and Destiny right now. Apparently there's clankers in here. Y'all heard that the man or woman, they said get out. If you're complaining, that means you have all the authority here. Bring back the speaker, I'll kill him again. I should just take that off screen. Destiny 3 tower defense. That was Destiny 2 opening. Alright. Oh, wait. Fuck, I just realized I should have added a question mark to the screen title. There we go. Direct call out. Oh, that's fucking hilarious. I love seeing those. Some more shit poster type comments and shit. See, it's funny seeing that one. Right here, I'm digging the new music. It just sounds more Destiny. It doesn't sound in any way unique to Destiny. Destiny's usual thing is, like, what you're hearing right now, is just taking that general theme and changing the tone a little bit based on the tone of everything else. Like, Beyond Light, they had to fiddle those bell tolls to signify the darkness. I think with Witch Queens, they added a little more of the Taken King soundtrack to it, just because, you know, Taken, Hive, and all that. I know there's such a thing as the Destiny theme, but then there's also the Destiny theme and where it's present every single DLC. Split lip, classic one from Balkan. Oh, Jesus Christ. Same person spamming a recycle logo. Well, a few people are. Ironically, they're recycling the recycle thing. So the debate right now in my brain is whether or not to turn off chat when it actually appears. Rapstiny 99, the edge of fart. Alright, so we are 5 minutes away. Hopefully this isn't another 45-minute live stream of them just wasting our time. Ah, I just looked back up. That is the accurate move. Honestly, after so many issues, after just the poor feedback period, considering it's now just shoved along with Concord, yeah, they might as well scrap it, get the tax write-off, and hopefully just put whatever money they can back into Destiny and the future of that. Because unfortunately, trying for 2 possibly may have killed both in the essence of developing franchises. Also, just a side note, that's what Marvel should have done for like several projects, but they never did, and they're eating their money. So if Bungie can't afford to understand they need to do it once, yeah, this is gonna be bad for them. All right, time's about to spin up. So, what is that? Oh, weather, thunderstorms. Man, the Weather Channel app tells you about literally any change in the weather. Supposedly there's so many flood warnings, but even when there's not a drop of water in the sky. Alright, so let's go ahead and turn this up. Nope, accidentally muted it. I'll leave it about there. Also, I'm just gonna make a little note now from one of my previous videos. If there's no mention of Harbinger returning, that exotic mission, it will be like another, like, on 4 years, I want to say, since they said it was going to return, that it didn't. At least, when I say 4 years, I mean like 4 years, just maybe 3 or 4 more so. But essentially, not long before or during the time that they said 0 Hour and Whisper of the Worm were going to return, they also said Hawkmoon was going to return. 0 Hour and Whisper of the Worm the Whisper have returned ages ago, and still no new Hawkmoon. Man, let me actually... That's a little bit good. Hopefully that mix is good on sound. Warmind cells. I hate to say it, but they've been dead so long. I think if they brought them back, it might be a problem. No one used them until they got buffed. Alright, what is this biz? Here, let me actually... What the fuck? They've showed that about a few thousand times.
You've never been there, and you know every inch of it. It's the farthest either of us have been from home, in distance or in time. You're gonna get a call.
Hang on. The farthest we've been in distance or in time? Motherfucker, the Vault of Glass sent us far in the future, far in the past, and we've been all over the time stream dealing with the Vex. Ugh. Bungie forgetting their own damn lore.
Invitation only you can answer. And you'll say yes. They arranged it so you would never say no. Choice is real. And every choice you make will lead you here. To who you're supposed to be. Eyes up, weapon.
Awesome.
That
Hello.
didn't
Welcome
ring
to Bungie.
good.
Welcome back for our second live stream for The Edge of Fate. What you just saw was our launch trailer. We are 14 days away from launch. Yeah, 2 weeks. Pretty insane. Today we're going to be talking about what activities are on Kepler. What can you expect from world tiers as you're going through for replayability? And to introduce that, we actually have a wonderful human being on the couch next
Are
to
we
me.
finally going to get a new
Can I
public
introduce
event?
myself? My name's Dylan. Hi. Your name is Robbie. Hello. Let's actually get a real introduction for you. How you doing?
Hey, Dylan. It's great to be here. I'm the assistant game director for Destiny 2, and I focus on working with the broad Destiny 2 team and creating this game for our players and charting a new course to some new frontiers here with the Edge of Fate, just 14 days away. It's crazy.
right?
It's awesome.
Oh my God,
Keep
Conan
telling the folks on the
Frontiers.
team, it's like, we got 14 days, and they're like, wait, huh? It's already here? So today we're going to be looking at Kepler. Can you give us a quick overview? What are we going to be looking at?
Yeah, so we're going to be looking at some of the free roam experience on Kepler, and we're also going to be taking a sneak peek at the end of one of our campaign missions that is replayable in the post game after you complete the campaign of the Kepler experience. We're also going to be
That
talking
should
here
be
about our
a
world
no
tiers
shit.
a little bit, which we've talked
Any
a little bit about
mission
in the stream,
should be replayable.
and
You
we're
shouldn't
gonna talk about
have
more
to
here today. And so
specify
what we're
that
showing
it
on screen
is.
right now is the world tier difficulty selector that's on the destination. And so right now we're in the fabled difficulty. And so brave and legendary, you can play through the campaign, you can play through the main quest, the story of the release, and brave or legendary doesn't matter. But after you do that, you're going to unlock fabled and mythic difficulties. Now, the difference here though is with these difficulties, power is fully enabled. And so that means when you step out of either brave or legendary, you're going to probably be able to do fabled. Most people will be able to do fabled. Some people might need a fire team, but if you want to play mythic, you're really going to have to climb power. And the difficulty really escalates, and then the gear gets better. And so if you're hunting for that,
So now the
that
legendary
tier,
campaign is
2+,
dead
3,
because
4
now it's
loot,
not even
right,
high enough.
You're going to be needing to play an
If you
fabled
truly
method.
want all the rewards, you're going to have to go
Yeah, let's,
farther than the
let's get some
legendary
combat
campaign.
Going. Really quick, what is the state of our fire team? You were mentioning we're in Fabled, so this is going to be after they've already done their first playthrough.
Yeah, so this fire team has played the legendary campaign. Right now, they are inside of the Gorge, which is one of our 4 major regions of
Gorge.
Kepler, and they are in free roam right now, and they are going through one of our free roam encounters. And so the other thing I should call out here is within these free roam encounters, there are reasons to basically go back through the destination using your new abilities in new ways. And so, sorry, can you ask me that question one more time? Like, I feel like I answered it, but then I segued into.
You know, they already
I
did that
said-
with Deep
What
Sight.
state is our
As
fire
you
team?
developed
Oh,
it, you would
yeah,
double
and-
back
yeah,
and
yeah,
go
yeah,
through
we're
the same campaign.
we're-
So
yeah, sorry,
it's
thank
literally
you. Yeah, we're
just
hunting,
Matters
higher
Park is
tier
just
loot and
reskinned the
gear
Deep
here on
Sight, so
destination,
that's
and they're
great.
also doing some of our post-game quests. So both Fabled and Mythic have their very own quest associated with them as part of the post-game. That are one part of like completing the Triumphant Seal to earn some exclusive cosmetics and emblems, but also these world quests unlock some additional loot in the game as well. So specifically the Mythic quest that's associated with that world tier unlocks a variant armor set for the Kepler armor. So as you're playing through the campaign and throughout the experience,
So to get the
there's a
location
2 to
seal
4
for the
set
next
piece bonus on the Kepler
for the
armor
next
set. Once you
DLC,
complete that
you have to
Mythic,
play on every
world
single
tier quest,
difficulty.
you unlock a variant of that has a different set bonus and a unique shader on it as well.
Awesome.
If any
Yeah,
of you
for folks
struggled
that,
with the legendary
didn't tune in
campaign
last
at
week or you
parts,
haven't heard about
you're going to
the
be
tiers
struggling
bonuses,
bad
we have a full blog
because
article that
there's
came out
worse
last
than the
week.
legendary
Go ahead,
campaign
visit
now.
that, check it out. So when we're looking at this this activity, this is going to be a free roam mission, right?
Yes.
And these take place in places that are regions on the destination.
Yes.
Can you walk us through that?
Yeah, so I talked about it a little bit before, but this is the Gorge, and so the Vex have actually put a big security lockdown on this entire region on side of Kepler. And so they're, the fire team right now is like basically like breaking through this security lockdown. And so each of these regions feature multiple of these major encounters is kind of what we call them, these free roam encounters. And these are kind of like the scale. Ooh, I just got try to get through that security grid and you did not make it.
Yeah.
Each of these
Classic Bungie.
each of these major encounters we have are kind of like the size of like roughly like a lost sector, but ultimately they're more complex. They have more mechanics.
They know what to
have
do,
use
and
the
they're still
destination
fucking it up.
abilities to solve some simple puzzles and encounters inside of them, and generally they have like pretty thick combat, especially on like the Fabled difficulty as well, where we start adding more enemies, tougher enemies, and also there are Banes that are applied in the World Tiers 2 that are actually exclusive to Kepler. They were built specifically for this content.
That's awesome. Yeah, and then as you're going through these sorts of free roam activities and
You know, I can already see it. There's exclusive Banes only for Kepler, Because Kepler is the only place you can do Matter Spark and do that fucking Scorch Cannon version 5. So guess what? They're only existing there because there's stuff that's only unique to this location and therefore not really contributing much to the game world in total.
And exploring Kepler, what other like side objectives or objectives can pop up?
Yeah, so the way we kind of are thinking about this, right? Like you're a lot of this outside of doing the seal, the
Yeah,
triumphs,
Matter Spark
and
doesn't even
things
look
like
that fun. You're just
and
rolling
mysteries and
around
secrets,
as
which
a
we can talk
ball.
about here in a minute. A little bit more is like
Doesn't
it's
look
about
fast,
leadership,
it doesn't
right? It's
even
about,
look
like earning that
fluent.
higher tier gear, chasing power, and so the way we constructed these regions, there's these free roam major encounters, there's tougher enemies that appear, there's HVTs that pop up, there's destination materials to loot, and there's this.
Oh my god, they brought back destination materials? Holy shit, no. I'm
material called a faded cipher as well, and so you're going to be combining destination materials that you get from basically doing almost anything inside of the region alongside faded ciphers in order
Here
to
I thought
be able
Bungie
to
forgot
purchase
destination materials
specific
existed.
items
Ever
at the
since they
destination
sunset literally
vendor,
every
called
single
the
material
altar
actually mattering.
at the center.
Like, I'm
There's a
pretty
lot of
sure
names and
the
words
Lots of
and
stigma of the
pronouns.
witness
If you
from
didn't catch this, I know they're gonna be
Pale
breakdowns.
Heart
We'll
just
have a recap
converted
quick
straight to
yeah,
reputation.
continue.
Yeah, and so like what's cool about this is that in the post game, like there's a focus that we created, and so basically through the vendor you can go and look at it and be like, okay, today's focus is the Gorge, which the fire team is looking at today. Most of the materials that you're earning here can be used to purchase gear, or you can convert your other materials you might have from other regions in order to convert it into the Gorge materials to buy stuff. But every day it's going to shift. That daily focus is going to shift. And so a little bit later in the stream, we're going to be seeing a part of Exile's Accord, which we've also some of our content creators and influencers showed as well, and some of their content parts of it. But basically, of the 4 major regions, the daily focus will shift day over day to basically kind of change what you're focused on.
I am
what gives
genuinely
you
genuinely
access to that,
curious
direct
how many
purchase.
people are just
Yeah,
gonna
and since we're
shortcut
on the topic
anyways
of
and
rewards, you were
ignore
talking about, like, the currencies and
the
vendor.
special
You had mentioned
platform
before the stream,
creation
actually,
and
there's a
just
new
run
form of
strand
attunement for the
grapple
destination as well.
and
Yeah,
just
so something
skip
that
it.
was really important to us was like
Destiny
it's
2
we
is
wanna make
rampant
playing what we
with
call, like, an action
speedrunners.
game, like actually experience in free roam, like
And
this,
people that try to
mission
make everything
content,
fast as
like,
possible.
when
So
you
it
earn
is
that piece of loot
inevitable
on Kepler as you're
that
completing these
people will
activities
just
and
probably start
just got nuked.
skipping
No.
those
I'm
dark
so
matter
happy that they're dying
platforms.
because they were like, this won't be too hard, and it's like, oh, world tiers? Let's introduce them at a higher difficulty, shall we?
Yeah.
But sorry, go
no,
ahead.
No, exactly. Yes, this is Fabled pushing back a little bit. They're having to think about what they do, and they just used actually Mattermorph in order to open up a pathway to get around this Vex grid that opened up in the middle of the encounter. But anyway, we were talking specifically. I'm sorry, remind me.
Attunement.
Attunement. Thank you. Yeah. So basically, you're going to be able to attune at the vendor a specific piece of gear, armor, or weapon, and any drop on Kepler that drops a piece of armor or weapon will have a chance to be that gear. We just wanted to make sure that as you're playing through the
Attunement
destination,
for
as, like, you're
general
carving your
world
own path, you're
gear
figuring out
that
your
in
own
the end
farm
is
routes
not
inside
going to
of
be
each of
as
these 4 regions
nearly
each day of the week.
beneficial as
We wanted to
getting
make sure that, like,
raid
hey,
gear
if you're looking for
attunement.
the Giver, that auto rifle that's coming with the Edge Fate here on Kepler, it's like you have a chance to get it anytime a piece of loot drops.
Awesome.
Yeah.
Yeah, so you had mentioned just a minute ago about secrets and the depth of the destination. I mean, I'd love to hear, go ahead and expand on that.
Yeah, so like it's funny with like secrets and mysteries, like you want to like talk about it a little bit, but like not too much
No
to like
spoilers,
like
right?
like spoil it.
Yeah.
But I think like the thing to scratch at here and poke at here is right is like we've talked about the destination abilities a few times, and so with the world tiers and the fabled and mythic difficulties throughout the destination, there are secrets and mysteries, like basically all these little alcoves, these little locations, these side paths, these hidden rooms, all throughout the destination that you can go and discover. And there's a lot available just within the campaign experience. Like if you want to play through the campaign and take it like really slow, and as you earn abilities and look around, you're going to find a lot of mysteries to solve. But we also wanted to make sure that in those higher world tiers in Fabled and Mythic, that it felt like this expanding expansion of that content that you have. And it's basically like, hey, you have even more abilities than ever. You can now peel back the onion of this world to discover what's at the core of it. And so we really wanted to make sure that it felt like there was just more and more to dive into the more you unlocked inside of the post game.
Awesome.
Yeah.
So in our rehearsals, we never managed to get this perfect timing, but we have perfect timing. I would love to shift to campaign. We're going to be taking you about midway through campaign mission here. A quick note for the audience: if you're avoiding spoilers, we have disabled our VO, We have disabled our subtitles. We're trying to keep this so you are discovering the story as it comes out with the Edge of Fate and our new song.
How much could they
So
actually
as they're getting
spoil?
loaded into that, I'd love to ask you
It's
just
a
a couple more
Destiny
questions
spoil,
about free roam in the
which
regions.
means like
What
something
other
you
things
probably
can
saw
happen
coming
in regions
anyways.
outside of campaign.
Yeah, so one of the big things that happens inside of these regions are side quests, which we've only talked a little bit about, and these are basically ways that flesh out the characters.
They
of the
brought
world,
back
the stories of the
adventures.
people and of the place and what's
And
happening
just
on
made
Castle,
them
what's been
basic
happening
side
with them
quests.
before, and what might be happening to them in the future. And basically what happens is as you're completing these regions as part of the campaign and you kind of start to unlock more of them, these side quests will start to become available. And so these side quests are available to you at any time. So again, like I was kind of mentioning earlier, like you can either take it really, really slow and take a really long time to get through everything the release has to offer, or you can just like beeline the main quest, beeline the critical path, and then when you get into the higher level world tiers, all of these side quests are now available to you. As we've been like play testing and closing out the Edge of Fate here, it's been really interesting to watch different developers and people play test for the content. Myself and Blake Battle, one of our executive producers, he and I just like we're just like beelining it, right?
Yeah.
And then we get to the end and we like pop up in that and we're like, look at all these quests to do, while other people like want to take their time and like experience like the full story of every single little piece.
So
the
yeah, we're
destination
actually
has to offer.
we're getting into the campaign right now. And speaking of beelining, we've seen a ton of questions about getting raid race ready. So the raid race is going to be coming out on the Saturday after launch. I believe it's the 19th of July.
Yeah.
What difficulty should players play at to get ready for race?
Yeah, so if you want to be power ready for
Let me guess.
contest
Fable.
mode race for the Edge of Fate, you're going to want to play the legendary campaign.
Yeah,
And so when
legendary.
you step out of the legendary campaign, you will be power ready at that point. Now, if you're gear ready, that's up to you, right? It's like how far you want to go down that rabbit hole.
And that dovetails
You know,
into,
last
like,
I checked, I don't think
replayability for
anyone
the
was
story missions and
actually
campaign missions
annoyed
and how that
or
fits into world tiers.
asking
Yes, right.
for
Getting the
more
higher tier.
difficulties
Yeah.
out of the
Yeah, so when
campaigns.
we-
So
something that was like
adding two
really
higher
important to us when
tiers
we were
of
thinking
difficulty
about
above
replayability and what,
the
like,
campaign
aspiration
that
means
was
within,
already
an
difficult for
expansion.
plenty of
We
people.
really wanted to change some
I
of the
don't get.
formula. Like we wanted to take some of the formula that we think works well, but also change other pieces of it. And one of the really big goals for us was just giving you more reasons and just easier ways to play just some of the best content we built. This campaign mission is at the end of the Exiles Accord region. This fire team is taking down a giant Exiles prime servitor who's running some of the Archon's dark matter.
Oh my god, they
operations. So
finally
all fire
remembered that
spoilers.
prime
Like,
servitors
I'm
exist.
jotting this down, getting ready for a lore dump about the Fallen, all that kind of stuff.
But
So-
this is a really fun like
I
multi-phase. boss
genuinely
encounter that they're
think the
orbiting
last
around this
prime
giant
server we actually
And
took
we really
out
wanted to
was
set something
Sepix
up that,
after he
this
was
doesn't just,
resurrected
like,
by
look like a
Siva in
one-and-done,
terms of the timeline.
kind of thing.
Like,
And
I know
so
Sepix
things we've
Prime
kind of done
exists
before
in,
that we're going back to that we
or
think
Sepix,
work well.
yeah, Sepix
There's
Prime.
going to be
I know that's in
multiple,
D2,
weekly,
but also
missions
that's
that you
just
can play that
D1's
are
version
large
again.
missions.
So
we have a capstone mission for each of our regions. We also have some bookends at the beginning and end of the release that the overall like length of them and complexity, they are very similar to legendary campaign experiences from the past. So something new that we did though for this release though is we also have a bunch of additional story missions that take place during the campaign and you're first introduced to. These are shorter experiences, but they still have like huge impact on the story, moving the story of the main quest into Kepler Fort, and also help you to unlock different abilities and things throughout it. And so in the post game, in the higher level, in the world tiers, we actually have a story mission playlist where you can go in and it's like a rotator and you're rotating through a bunch of different randomly selected story missions that are about 10 to 15 minutes. Some people can, if you're going really fast, can get them down a little bit shorter. And those missions are actually one of the best sources of those faded ciphers that I was talking about earlier. And so the other thing I mentioned earlier too is we have specific quests for both Fabled and Mythic, and these quests are going to take you through some of the big campaign missions, again, to experience them with new modifiers, because we're curating modifiers and banes and things like that every single week on the destination to have a little bit more of a curated experience, but then also those quests introduce some like new encounters as well. And so, sorry, like I'm going a little bit all over the place. I mean, some of this, there's just like so much information, so much to talk about.
it sounds like they're really banking hard on different ways to replay the same campaign and not adding options for alternate activities.
Our story mission playlist, it's called the Time Latch mission playlist, to earn faded ciphers. but then also to have reasons to go in and replay some
Like,
of our
Witch
biggest
Queen
campaign
had
missions again
Terminal,
through the weekly
or Witch
missions
Queen
playlist,
had
kinda
the
like
Wellspring,
Rogue stuff we've had in the past.
and
on the stream last week,
Lightfall
we
had
talked about
Terminal
how if you're
Overload.
unlocking the
Final
destination
Shape
abilities, you carry
has
those forward
fucking, what
after
is
the
it,
post-game,
Overthrow
so
that you can
go
play,
in and
public
replay
events
and then
that
have some
are
of these
just
things
straight up
available.
there.
Yeah, that's a really
Is
good note. Thank you
Kepler
for hitting on
literally
that. Like,
just
the way we
going to
designed this
be
concept
how many
was the
different
campaign
ways you can
slowly,
play the main
steeped you,
campaign?
stepped you
Because that's
into these
desperately
different
what
abilities and
they're
unlocking
sounding like they're
different
doing.
versions of them and higher tier versions of them. When you're in the post-game experience, we intentionally designed puzzles and encounter mechanics and things, and like even in this boss encounter, there's multiple times that they've had to use Matter Spark to like get into the vents and stuff below this area and pop up.
Which
in the
also,
world.
if they
And
do
through the
another
campaign,
location that
you
doesn't
would actually have
have
to go and
public
find, like, a Matter Spark
matchmaking
pad to
in the
activate that.
free
And
roam,
that's actually kind of part of the puzzle.
that's
It's
also
teaching
going to
you
be a
to kind of
problem.
look at the
Because
world
that made
and
the
think
Pale
about the
Heart
world in a
feel
different way that is
fucking
intentional.
empty.
But then in the post game, as soon as you complete the campaign, you unlock Matter Spark Anywhere, and it's basically like your souped up Sparrow for the destination, and being able to summon Matter Spark Anywhere means you can actually like sequence break some of our puzzles and sequence break part of our missions, and that was like entirely intentional as a part of the design. And to be honest, Dylan, like the fun part about this too is like we're not 100% sure in some ways where people might sequence breaks things that we
Unless
might
you
not
want to bet
expect,
this
but, like,
mission
that-
becomes a
that
strike
is just-
immediately
that was intentional
after,
from a design perspective that like we want people to be able to do.
Yeah,
immediately
I have to
after
give,
the
like,
whole
sandbox
campaign
and
is done,
Destiny,
if they're
we
even
don't know
adding
how
new
players are gonna
strikes.
take this ability with this destination ability with this combatant,
Yeah.
et cetera, et cetera.
Yeah.
So I think I would love to ask you as well. So we've gotten a lot of questions from players where they're like, oh, you had mentioned like this is comparable to a Rise of Iron. Like, how does that actually break down when we look at the Edge of Fate and Kepler? Like, you had mentioned depth and secrets and a bunch of different things. So.
Yeah, so I think like you and I were talking about this in rehearsal a little bit, where like that comparison is just to give us like a ballpark of where we want to make. But at the end of the day, it's like apples and oranges between what the Edge of Fate is and what Rise of Iron is. So when we've talked about that, we've generally been speaking.
If it's
to, like,
apples
the
and
size of
oranges,
this
why do you
destination
keep
and the depth of
comparing
the
it?
Campaign and post-game experience. Like this is one of the deepest destinations we've ever built before, and that is why we've been making that comparison to Rise of Iron in that way.
A very
But
deep
also,
hole,
in terms
but
of
a
being, like,
foot
little bit
wide,
bigger. But
versus
also,
Rise of
the
Iron
game
that
is very
would,
different
which
too.
would have
Like,
been
we
a
have an
fairly
entire
deep
portal,
hole,
we have an
but
entire
also a mile
upgrade
wide.
that is there with a bunch of new content, new gear, new things to do. We have the raid with the Edge of Fate, obviously, but then we have the epic raid coming in the major update with Ash and Iron, which we'll talk about more in the future. That just it permutes and expands the raid. and
Epic
expands
raid?
the
What,
story of
did
the
they
raid.
sunset master raids?
It is new content.
Yeah.
It is. We're not holding anything back for the base raid to build that experience. And so, again, the Rise of Iron to Edge of Fate, little bit apples and oranges, but we also are thinking about like the collective packages of what comes with this release, because the game is very different from what it was like back
Man,
then.
would it be
Yeah, we have the
unfortunate
free roam
if you
missions, we
lost
have
your matter
campaign, we
spark
have
in these
secrets, we have
vents
a
and
lot of
suddenly were
questing, that
trapped in
kinda
a
stuff.
grate?
I'd love before
I can see
we
that
wrap up
happening.
with our campaign mission to talk a bit about what else what else players can expect in terms of destination activity.
Yeah, so we've seen y'all talking about it. Like we hear y'all, and this is one of those things where like we wanted to hold this back for it to be like a surprise and delight moment for everyone when it appeared on the destination in the post game. But yeah, let's just talk about it a little bit. So there is a destination activity on Kepler. It is, I'm not going to name it here. I just want y'all to see it when the game goes live. And it also, and part of that is because like it does relate to some of the story inside of the campaign, especially near the end. And so we wanted to be careful to not unintentionally spoil something if we showed too much of that activity. But anyway,
Again, what
the way
can
to
they
think
fucking
about it is,
spoil?
like,
It's a
gonna be
Destiny
ki-
story.
It's kind of its own thing. It's kind of unique, but it's kind of a
What is it
blend
going to turn out that
of
Lodi was
activities like
Savathun all
Vex,
along? I
Incursion,
don't know.
and Wellspring. And so this is a match-made activity with 3 players. You're going to be using some of your destination abilities and some really chaotic horde mode inspired.
No, that doesn't vote
elements, but there's
well
also some
for
mechanical elements, and there's
Kepler.
some boss encounters.
Because the Pale Heart was
But
also a
it's gonna be one of the best
3-player
places
match-made
actually to earn,
experience.
rerolls of the exotic armor that's coming in the Edge of Fate that you get from the Legendary campaign.
Oh,
And
what,
it's
the
just
tier
highly
3
rewarding in
exotic
general.
armor?
And so, because we wanted to make this activity really rewarding, it is also technically time limited. But on the Kepler map,
Technically time limited? That just means that it's limited. Oh my god. Jesus Christ.
near the center of the map, there's going to be basically a preview that tells you like, hey, when does the activity become available? So you're going to know exactly when you can jump into the destination activity in order to like focus farm those things that you care about the most.
Awesome. Well, thank you so much.
So
your
from
time.
that, it
We've
sounds
already
like the
wrapped up our
destination
campaign
activity
mission,
is
and
going to
now we're
roll
actually
out
gonna be
and
moving
roll
over
back
to
in and be
Portal Power
available in a
Progression.
shoddy
So, Robbie, thank you. Chat,
pattern.
Thank Robbie for joining us today. And now we're going to swap some folks in. We'll see you next time.
See you later, guys. Thanks so much.
All right. So
That took him
as
20
we are
minutes.
swapping out, I want to talk about these 2 new exotic weapons that we see on the screen. You saw some of this in our gameplay preview that we just had. We also had some creators.
Now this is what sucks.
influencers,
The
that
time
kind of
I
stuff
finally
coming in
decide to
and
take a
speaking
break
to the
from
hand
Destiny
cannon
and just
and
let
the
it breathe.
scout
They
rifle.
introduce a
Hand
scout
cannon is gonna
rifle
be
I
through
might
Exotic
genuinely
Quest
love.
on Kepler. No spoilers there. But the team was talking about, oh, hey, here is our overall goal for the weapon. It's for those who are looking for the perfect 3-tap. As for the Void Scout Rifle, that's going to be a part of our new rewards pass. This is just, I'm not going to spoil that either. There are some reviews from our sandbox-minded creators. It's a fun time.
So a single
all right,
exotic
let's
quest.
move on to Portal, Power, and Progression. And I just looked at our 3 new guests in that order. Hello.
So 3
welcome.
exotic
Thanks
weapons
for
for
having us.
Final
Yeah,
Shade,
a
or
couple of you are
God,
new,
Final
but
Shade.
we'll start with you, Ben.
Edge of Fate.
How you doing?
One is
I'm doing
season
great, Dan. How you
pass,
doing?
one is a
Doing well.
quest,
For
and the
those who
other
didn't see
is
you on
from
our
the
reveal
raid.
stream or previous Vidocs, can you give a quick
It's a very
overview who
shallow
what you do?
pool.
Yeah, I am Ben Womack. I am the core game creative director. I am the
You know, I know the comparison to Curse of Osiris is another apples and oranges, but somehow Curse of Osiris feels like it had way more in it than Kepler right now.
one, like helping all the teams that are making the core experience and all the components in the portal and in Edge of Fate as well, like worked well together and like pushed the game forward into like this great new foundation. I'm really excited to talk about it.
Awesome. Yeah, thanks for joining us today.
Yeah.
Next on the couch, brand new to our chair. You've never been on anything, so first time you are meeting the community. Everyone in chat.
Don't say any
hello.
slurs.
Nutty, welcome.
Hi, I'm Nutty. I'm one of our sandbox ability designers. That pretty much means that I work with Vivian and Eric, who were here last week, to develop anything that the player is doing outside of armor, weapons, and combatants. So today I'm going to talk about all the modifiers and additional banes that we've been working on.
Awesome. Last but not least, we got Alan Blaine. How you doing?
Hey, great. How you doing, Dylan?
Oh, you asked me how I am? Thank you so much. Really quick introduction for everybody out there watching. Who are you? What do you do?
Sure. Hi, I'm Alan. I'm a principal designer, and for the last year, I've been leading the team that's been taking all the cool banes and modifiers Nutty's team is working on and combining them in a UI with all the activities from the activities team, both new and returning activities, making sure that you get good score while you're playing those activities, and then that score turns into loot with cool seasonal power and gear tiers and all the great stuff that you're looking for.
Stellar. So we have some content on screen. This is what players are going to see when they sign in on day one, and this is our introduction to the portal. Ben, I would love to get just a quick overview for those who may have missed that reveal stream. Like, what is this space? What are we aiming for?
Yeah, so the portal is very exciting. We had this vision of making a new front page for the game.
How you
for
doing
Destiny
there,
2.
Tomcat
And so
Moore?
we really want to make as much as we could available, like just in a couple clicks. And,
Apologies if I sound
not having to dig
pessimistic,
down to
but
find the content that
I'm
is new
trying to be
or featured,
positive,
or,
but they're
like,
really
you're
not
doing
helping me.
Like your friends are playing, or something like convenient that you really want to like go to a lot. Like we have a button for the tower that's right there, fastest you can get into. We also have Edge of Fate in the upper corner, of course, which is like the new feature, the new expansion for the launch right here. We have this huge like quick launch panel in the lower right that is rotating between new activities, like probably the fastest you can play Destiny ever, aside from right when you like start for a very first like new character. It's gonna let you just like hit and play something right away with like no delay. And then we have actually a very like nested depth there with all the ops categories on the left, which are all the different kinds of things you can play in the portal that are hooking to all the new systems that Alan and Nutty have been talking about.
Awesome. Yeah, really quick, I'd love to go just line by line for Solo, Fireteam, Pinnacle, and Crucible Ops. Give them an introduction.
Yeah. So Solo Ops is like a new thing that we're doing in the Edge of Fate launch and for the core game. These have activities that are designed to be played by solo players. They're only one-person fire teams, and they're intended to be content that if you just like have a few minutes, like 10, 15 minutes to play Destiny, and you want to go on and like feel satisfied about your time, get some great loot.
You know, I hate to be that guy, but there is no person that will log in to Destiny with 10, 15 minutes that will actually try to get something done in those 10, 15 minutes. Like, unless you are a major absolute speedrunner warlock, there is no point in logging into Destiny if you have 10, 15 minutes that's anything aside from visiting a vendor and just buying the shit and turning it off. So, yeah, I don't know. Solo ops seems such an asinine thing to add only because everything that they have been adding in recent menu, if it was a 1 to 3 man fire team that didn't have matchmaking, guess what? It's made for solo because it was stuff made for anyone. So making a whole playlist to solo ops feels, I don't know, it feels like pointless.
You're going to go to solo ops and like have that opportunity. It's going to be like a really great concise like experience.
Like, I get there's the
you're
solo
also,
players out
like,
there,
you know,
but
if
these
you
will literally be
don't
like
want
campaign
to have, like,
missions
the,
and
like,
seasonal
think about having a
activities
fire
that
team
were
for some
never
content as
dependent
well,
on
you
having
can be sure
people.
that this stuff is designed to be played by one player. And so it's
Small
like, you know, it's
lost
gonna be challenges,
sectors and
it's
that
gonna
sort
be
of thing.
difficulty
The
and
shit that
modifiers
never
that you
had
can
people
customize
anyway.
And really great loot to get. But you know, it's a challenge for you, individual. And I think that's really exciting, like alternative to some stuff in the past. It felt like I want to play, but I don't have any friends, or I'm trying to find someone I have a lot of time, and we have another like niche for people to fill if they're in the mood.
Yeah, awesome. And then next up we have fire team ops.
Yes, fire team ops. So, like, just talking about fire teams, like, quintessential Destiny is playing with 2 other players, a fire team of 3, right? And so we have all of the activities in fire team ops are a 3-player fire team.
Hang on a second. Let me actually look through some of the available missions here.
So,
I know I'm
just
not
talking about fire
live
teams, like,
or up to
quintessential
date with
Destiny
it,
is
but
playing with
Jesus
2 other
Christ.
players, a
Hang
fire
on.
team
So that's Savathun Spire, which is a seasonal activity they vaulted, but then brought
3,
back
right?
just
And
for this. Battleground, that's something we have. Battleground, Proving Grounds, Liminalities, the Strike, Devil's Lair, that's
so
a
we have
strike.
all of the activities in fire team ops
Let's see, Strike, Empire Hunt, Crucible, well, that's Onslaught.
are a 3-player fire team. We have like classic strikes in there. We have
You gonna go down to that last
missions
tab?
from past expansions, like in Europa, like the Empire hunts.
Well, either way,
also,
just
like,
from looking at this,
Onslaughts are in
the
here.
only
We
seasonal
actually
activity
filled
they
out more of this.
felt,
There it is,
the coil,
So past
but
seasonal
also
activities coming
the
back,
roguelite
and,
version.
like,
So the
bickering with all
only
the
seasonal
systems we
activities
talked
they
about,
felt
we're
that
gonna
were
talk more
worthy
about.
to
So
return
things
was
like available
Savathun
for you to
Spire and the
do
coil.
to work on your power
No.
combo,
Actually, no. I know
to
exactly
basically
why.
just, like,
It's because
have
the
the
things they don't
capacity
have to
really want
rework and
Awesome.
code
Yeah, I mean,
everything
since
to
we're
bring
already
up
in
the
screen,
power.
Let's go ahead and get our fire team
So
set
it
up
was
with
the
our activity. What
easiest
are we playing
things to
today, Will?
add.
We were going to do the Dark Priestess Empire Hunt.
Awesome. So here, I'm actually going to pass the mic over to you and Alan. Let's get some bans, some modifiers, all that kind of stuff set up. Really quick, can you introduce each of these sections for the different modifiers, and then we'll go and kind of pick and choose what we want?
For sure. So we're starting at a master activity, and this is 300 combatant power. The first row there that has all the selectable icons that you can change are challenge modifiers. These are things that will increase the combatant power and add some additional difficulty to it. The first one is our Banes. So here you decide what Banes are going to show up, and we paired all of them as like 2 combos that either work well together or at least interesting. Today we'll do Threaded and Caltrops. So Threaded is where as you damage the combatant, it will spawn Threadlings, and when it dies, it will throw out a few more Threadlings at the same time. And Caltrops is a void area that gets spawned near you, like between you and the combatant, and then when it dies, it throws out another one. So something to make it so you either need to get up in the air or keep going through.
So starting with retaliation.
Yeah.
If I die, you're coming with me. Pretty much.
Viewbot.
All right, next up, what do we got?
Yeah, let's do subtle foes. So this just makes it so that when some of the enemies are far away from you, they will be invisible, and that helps them get into close range, or if you are using a long-range loadout, you won't be able to deal with them as much, so you might want to bring some close range.
and
or
they're like very invisible. Not like,
yeah, not like a little bit of player stealth, but just
Yeah.
like you don't see them.
yeah. You really have to like pay attention to see them from long range.
What else do you want to do? Yeah, let's do Glass Cannon. So Glass Cannon is kind of a fire team equalizing one where it only punishes the person who's doing the best. So if you have that buddy that, clears the strike
Well,
out
that just
of you
seems-
or is getting all of the kills,
that just seems
we're actually
mean.
going to give him a debuff where he will just take more incoming damage. And if you are a little bit closer with your friends,
That's also a terrible thing to put in Destiny with the amount of effects and random just subclass verbs with threadlings, volatile, turrets, jolting. The amount of definitions on how they will have to be very specific on that of how somebody's kill counts is determined Because there could be somebody that just has a freaking, what's it called, Bleak Watcher Arc Soul loadout, that they have so many things that they participated in, but because they didn't kill it, I don't know. That just seems like such a risky kind of modifier to base on whoever is performing the best. Because there is so many ways in Destiny that somebody can be performing the best unintentionally. So suddenly the person that could very well not be, how do I say this, not adept enough to actually handle that kind of modifier, accidentally get, I don't know, it just seems so risky to do a modifier like that basing on performance.
Suffering a little bit and kind of a fun.
So if I'm playing through this activity and I'm stealing all of your kills, I'm putting a bit of a debuff on myself.
Right.
Taking one for the team.
Yeah, true.
And maybe I'm letting you finish a few of those.
Yeah. All right.
What else? Let's do one more. Chill touch. Yeah, so we were talking about getting the enemies into melee, so this will make it if they hit you in melee, you will suffer a stasis debuff and slow down.
Awesome.
And that pushes the power all the way up to 360. And those things are also increasing the potential score that you can receive from this, and the score is what drives the reward.
Right. So you see right here when we picked Chill Touch, the gear tier you're going to earn went from tier 2 to tier 3 for this activity. So it's really important to pay attention to what you're earning.
Yeah, so you know what you're going to be getting if you achieve that score at the end.
Yeah.
Yeah, and this is like, we've talked about this last week on stream about approachability and making it easier for players to understand as they're getting in. So a lot of UI treatment, shout out to our teams that have been doing this to show you combatant power and all that kind of stuff. So
Yeah, tons of love and passion went into that.
seriously.
Okay, so let's look at player stakes. Oh, do you want to take this?
Oh yeah. So player stakes are the next category
whoops.
down, and they're more about the
I didn't wanna do
player's
that.
interface
Hang
with
on.
the game itself. So things like locked loadout. We have no HUD is an ability that we added here, so you can play with no HUD for a little extra score bonus. And these are things that are really sort of letting you sort of tie one arm behind your back while you're playing. It's not making the combatants more powerful. It's changing how you're playing the game. You can start with no ammo. You can start with locked loadout. We'll be putting some more player stakes in Ash and Iron.
And they're making Grandmaster no
You
longer
can talk about it first, aren't you?
the
No,
pinnacle.
you can have the
Okay, no, you go first.
I just wanted to have us move on to the next bit because we've talked about tying one hand behind your back.
Talk about no HUD later. Go ahead.
Okay, but in the next bit, this is what you get to do with your other hand. So here are the things that benefit you. Let's try Livewire. This one is one of my favorite. It's a combination of the sprint for amplified that you had in the Nether, along with inherent AC/DC feedback fence. So we buffed up the enemy's melee capability that hopefully they'll get up and punch you. Well, now if they do, we're just going to shock them with lightning. So I'm kind of balancing out that additional challenge that we added and a different benefit that will kind of counter that and make it so it's actually a little bit easier for me.
Yeah.
What else can we do? Healing finishers are great. Just another way to get back health, or if you go in for that finisher and take damage on the way, that you'll be able to fill back up. And let's do one more. And sure, hypercritical is pretty fun. This one is actually a little bit tough because it makes it so that the enemies will take less non-precision damage, but more precision damage. So as long as you're hitting your shots, it's easier.
Awesome.
I mean,
and then Ben, we actually we noticed this
That's a
bit earlier.
cool
There's
one, but in the end,
more,
if you're a
modifier
seasoned
at the
Destiny
top,
player,
and
you
that's actually
don't
limited
do
time, right?
anything but headshots.
So this is an accelerator that, this is a double bonus focus. So you're going to second drop from the bonus focus activities. So this is we will have, given the calendar, different accelerators that are on for a given week or day that will apply to the whole portal and have different benefits. And we're also going to have more of those for events and other things going on in the game to give you kind of another fresh twist or an incentive to see what's going on in the game and get some a good time. Realize that is a good time to play because we're trying to make every day a good time to play Destiny.
Yeah, I think one of the modifiers we saw during our rehearsal was a bonus to Suros weapons too.
Yeah.
So it's a bit of there can be loot bonuses, there can be gameplay bonuses of more power behind certain weapon archetypes. It's pretty fun. So stay tuned to our calendars. We'll definitely sound off when it's a week of a cool theme. Let's get it launched in and actually start taking on some of this combat.
Just another thing to keep track of for the reset, people.
Okay, so, they aren't going to show no HUD because it'd be confusing, I think, on the stream. But no HUD is a great example of something you can engage with if you want to, because it's a challenge. It gives your score more opportunity to get better loot, but it takes takes away information going to the HUD. But what it also does is it makes it feel very cinematic and interesting, and like you kind of like feel more in tune with the character and the gunplay. And that's like a good analogy for what we're intending.
It
all the modifiers
feels
selected
like
to
such
do.
a
It's like
shortcut
you
for
set the
no
situation,
HUD,
like
only
what he was
because
talking
that
about,
is
like,
literally a
there's
setting
chill
that
touch,
can
but
be used.
I'm
I
gonna, like,
used
have
it
live wire
multiple
counter and create
times
these cool little gameplay moments
fairly
that are really something
recently.
that you choose for how you want to play for like really awesome loot.
Yeah, and Alan, when we were talking through some of these modifiers, like we've taken an inspiration from a ton of different places.
Yep.
Like No HUD in particular, shout out to Sammy Cat.
Yep.
Called her out last week for all the bows we were showing off, but also No HUD.
And we're hoping to get a bows only loadout modifier coming in the future too. We really do want to look at how people are playing the game, whether they're creators playing on stream or people playing at home, and really try to let them set up the challenge for themselves, how they want to do, right? Whether it be challenge.
How are you going to
modifiers,
know
stakes,
what people
or
are doing at
bows.
home? At that point, they're
How
just
often
a
are we gonna be
percentage
adding
of
more
how many people are
modifiers to the
playing this
portal?
way.
Well, we're going to have some new
don't
modifiers
know.
coming with events. And we're going to be adding new modifiers with the mid-season update with Ash and Iron.
Yeah, that major update. Yeah.
Yeah, I've been working on them pretty constantly along with the rest of the team. So it was like every few days that another either Bane would come online or modifiers. And have to go
Well, that's a
playtest
very
that, which was
familiar
pretty
looking
big
weapon.
playtesting lift to try all these combinations.
So I thought that
and
was
make sure
accurate. So
they're
yeah,
actually
on
rough
fucking
edges
Kepler,
when
they're
you combine
just going to
some
have
things
a
that maybe
real
we hadn't thought about
copy-paste
when
of
we were
all
initially
the
designing.
Braytech
I'm sure there's
weapons.
stuff the players will find that we won't. We're accepting that.
Yep.
Yeah,
Yeah,
we have our challenge for Esoteric or Mork or a couple of the other high skill creators of what can you throw on to make this difficult and can you actually complete it?
Right.
So it'll be fun watching those playthroughs. Ben, paired with that, how often are we going to have more activities being added to the portal?
Yeah, so we
Apparently your
want to,
mag size
we
is
wanna,
being
like,
improved on
regularly
Gallahorn
refresh
because
the
he already
portal
fired like
on,
3 rockets and
so
he's
that,
still got
you know,
10.
There's stuff coming online like
Either that or the new
like,
fucking
system
ammo
weekly cadence, like we're gonna have
generation
a
is
weekly like new stuff coming online for
broken.
the first 2 weeks. And then when events come in, they're going to have big changes like lots of new modifiers or like portal-wide like effects. Some are going to come with activities as well. But we're also going to be every major update. We're going to have new activities that come in, and we're also going to have like shakeups of existing ops formats. And we're going to have a really cool new activity that's paired with an event at Ash and Iron launch. I'm not going to talk about right now, but I think is really fun. That's going to be an exemplar of like, hey, we're shaking things up. Here's a brand new thing, in addition to all of like the classics and Destiny like Vault that we're bringing out.
Not just new activity, a new activity type that you've never played before.
Yes.
Yeah. Yeah, I mean, so this is all talking about like what you're going to be playing in the portal, and we're going to be moving on to power and progression. So what you're earning, which is people love loot. Nutty, thank you so much for joining us. I'd love to give you just anything else you want to say before you leave.
I definitely want to shout out the rest of the Sandbox team, not just those of us that were working on additional modifiers and bans, but like that playtesting lift. We had everybody across Sandbox disciplines in all of those playtests to try and hit as much of this as possible. And I wanted to re-emphasize how impactful some of the modifiers can be. Specifically, I'm thinking back to what we were just playing in live with attrition modifier in Prophecy Week 1.
Appreciate
Because
that
when we
note,
moved to
but
Prophecy Week
unfortunately
2,
I may be a little bit
modifier team had
skeptical
gotten
of that
so
just because I've seen a
accustomed
fair
to
few of
killing
those
enemies
that
and
just
having a
seem to
little
be
health pickup on the
bots.
ground,
So
that we had to play that final
apologies
fight
if you see me
completely
skeptical
differently
about
and
that
use cover
message.
way more because we couldn't just kill some enemies and run through them to fill back up. Normally, I would think of attrition as a lot more of a challenging modifier, but it turned out that when we were toggling things off and on, it turned out to be more beneficial to us than we were anticipating.
I am still on the side of like attrition is challenging to me, and when it goes away, I'm like, oh, hey, fire team, let's let's go for it.
And if that makes it too hard for you to get your rewards, then just you toggle it off here.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's more about like what you're comfortable playing with, and also what your style is for, and your build, and what your mood is too. Like we're giving a lot of player agency to that.
Right, and speaking of player agency, so I would love to see your feedback, like what ones are you engaging with, what ones are you enjoying more, what ones feel like they are actually rewarding to do, and what ones feel like we could punch them up a little bit, because that's what we'll probably keep working on.
All right. Well, thank you for joining us.
Well, crap. Here's an issue that Bungie is going to realize as soon as they do something like this, where it is selectable difficulty, there is absolutely going to be a set of modifiers that is going to be max rewards for lowest difficulty, and no one is going to use anything different other than just toning it down. There is some modifiers that unless you're just a madman looking to feel pain, you will not find anything other than the These 4 modifiers can get you the most rewards with the least amount of headache. And you will never see anything else. And knowing Bungie, as soon as that becomes popular, guess what? Those modifiers are going to get tougher. Or something else is going to become easier. Because they want to use everything they made, even though they can expect, for the Destiny community, max rewards, lowest effort.
Chat, everybody scream, thank you, Nutty. We're going to swap you off and get our power and progression individual in. So,
Thanks.
thank you so much. While we're doing this transition, Ben, I would love to ask you what activities can
I
players
should be
find in
excited that the
Pinnacle
Braytech
Oh, yeah.
Winterwolf may be potentially coming back, but at this
Ops
point, it
has,
just... It's another one of the many
different
weapons that
launch. It
whenever
is
Bungie feels
going
like
filled
not
with
making
exotic
new
missions.
weapons, they just
And some
restore.
exotic missions from
And just
last
say,
year
"All right,
and
let's throw
previously
some
as
perks
well,
on it."
that are going to be integrated into the whole Portal experience and all the systems we're talking about, all the difficulties, all the modifiers.
Even if it's not the Winterwolf,
and
it's a
intended to be,
1-to-1,
you know,
just like the
not only
Winterwolf.
something that is, well, exotic missions, they're kind of hard, right? They have mechanics, they're long, and so we're matching that by being like, okay, well, you can
Use that
with
rifle a
exotic, you
lot.
have it,
I
first
can
of all,
tell when it's been
from
just
playing
ripped.
on the Portal. It's available all the time. It's not like going through rotation like every week or something. And you can do Fireteam Finder, of course, to find people to play with. But we're really excited that it's like, oh, I can like play this as hard as I want or as easy as I want, whatever I want, whatever I'm feeling like right now. And we're gonna have more to Pinnacle Ops in the future with Ash and Iron that we're not gonna talk about today. So it's actually a good example of like, hey, we're making this new section of the
Nope,
game.
more
that
classic
brings
Bungie.
building and tinkering
Here's
that
this
we're talking
important stuff that could save our bacon and
That's
improve
a
community
segue.
sentiment, but
We
we're
were
not
talking
going to
about
share it.
Pinnacle Ops
Into the
and
next
Pinnacle
category.
Power. Hello, Josh. Welcome to the couch.
Hello. Hi, I'm Josh Galinsky. I'm a staff systems designer here at Bungie. Been here for about 5 years.
I like that button up.
I really
That's a good
work
shirt.
With a lot of
He wears it well.
Our gear, your power and progression, as you mentioned, like, you know, what are your rewards? What's the candy you get at the end of your activities and stuff like that? So we spent a lot of time reworking a lot of our stuff in the Edge of Fate and really 900, or 900 is what the eternal thing is. But we made big changes to how you engage with power in Destiny. One thing you'll all notice is, I think many of our creators have already noticed in the past, that there has been a power squish. We've reset players down to 10. Like, that is not only to give everyone kind of a fair and equitable starting place, and to kind of like reset the engagement with power. Also, 2020 power is not exactly the most friendly starting
not
point.
easy to
See, I don't know if that's exactly a good reason about starting points, because yeah, it might be confusing that you spawn at like 1980, but it only takes one ask to say, hey, why am I at this high level? And somebody can just say, that's just the lowest you can be, and you can go up from there. So putting the dial back down to 0, it feels legitimately just like a shortcut, just so they don't have to keep making the numbers go up.
understand if you haven't been along for the ride.
Right.
Yeah.
Exactly. So, like, this is the beginning of a new saga. It's the beginning of a new thing here. So we're starting off there. It gives like all Guardians on equal footing with each other, and allows us to kind of build up. You're going to have 200 points of power in the soft cap band.
Intrinsic cap. Yeah.
Yes, exactly. And you're going to be able to go and do any activity you want across the game in order to get to that point. Once you get past that, then you enter the seasonal bonus power
This is where it gets probably not great.
band, which is where you're going to have to start doing more of the portal activities and the Kepler like world tiers and stuff in order to get the power and progression that you want to get at that point.
Cool. So just to restate it, we're going to start at 10 when we launch.
Yep.
Every Guardian joining is going to be at 10. First 190 levels, so up to 200, that's going to be effectively your base power level.
Yep.
And then as you're going into more powerful activities, higher tiers, that's when you start going up and up.
Right, and you'll be able to get up till 450 power up until not Rise of Iron, but Ashen Iron. There's once you get to that point in the season, then you're going to be able to go even past that.
Awesome. So
Wait a minute. We're doing a power reset. We're putting seasonal bonus power where power resets at every season and loses like power bonuses, but you're just going to keep letting the number go up anyways? It's only going to be like 3 DLCs until we're back to the point we're at 2020.
When we're talking about seasonal power, is that replacing the artifact power that we have?
Exactly. Like, we did simplify power a little bit further by taking power off of the artifact, and that allowed us to take the power we had there and put it back into the gear. So really it streamlines it. It makes it so you're only worrying about your gear power as far as your engagement with that. So it just takes one additional level of complexity out of the system.
Yeah, and speaking of just like that power climb, like our pinnacle sources have been updated to actually fit and give more agency, correct?
Absolutely. So one of the things I think, if you're a longtime Destiny player, you're very used to the pinnacle grind. And you're also used to the limitations that the pinnacle grind puts on you, and like some of the like intricacies that come with that. Like, there's been many seasons in the past where, you know, I really needed that drop of the boots to come from the thing, and I do my pinnacles, I didn't get my boots. Well, not only are you able to more target farm individual gear pieces now, but also the limit of the pinnacles is no longer a thing. We're going to have some challenges in the game that act as accelerators for you as a Guardian, so you can basically focus on those to get power, like more hits of powerful gear. But really, once you get past that, you can keep going.
Yeah, like everything in the portal is a source of pinnacle drops.
Exactly.
As much as you want.
As many times you complete it, with it being up to how you perform and how challenging you make the activity.
See, that sounds like a good thing. But why does it have to be because of the portal that we got this change? And it wasn't a case of, hey, guess what? Your old pinnacle sources, now they're uncapped. As long as you just repeat the challenge over and over again, you can just go for another drop. Like, this is them making things I feel like more complicated than it needed to be.
Activities to be how far you can go.
Right. You still have to achieve that score as you go up in power for the higher difficulties to get that better loot.
Right.
And we'll still have curated experiences, correct? So if a player doesn't necessarily want to spend a bunch of time like creating that challenge, we have those offers too.
Yeah, and like we do have like matchmaking, which is like set modifiers for every activity that has not, aside from solo ops. So solo ops doesn't have matchmaking, but for fire team ops, like you can matchmake with other players. The modifiers are set, and we also have playlists. Modifiers are set, but we have more than that too. We have conquests.
This guy's
and those are set.
Yeah, we'll talk
Gallahorn
about
happy.
that.
Yeah.
He gets the ammo, he burns
Just
it.
a fun note, we've seen a ton of feedback over the years about players want to play Strike solo, and now
Oh yeah, that's a great point.
Yeah.
So we kind of going along with the idea of being player driven. If you don't want to play a strike like a Grandmaster Nightfall-esque strike, or even like early like difficulties with other players, you don't have to. You can just play it by yourself. You can take as long as you want within the confines of like the modifiers you've chosen to complete the activity and get the.
See, here's the thing. I remember in Destiny 1, there was literally just a switch that made your fire team closed. So if you wish to go into match-made activities, but go solo, it would. I don't know why they don't just do that. And again, they have to do this where it's like, oh, if you want to go into this specific playlist, you can go into solo strikes. There used to just be a button that you could press to say solo matchmaking.
You have so that falls into like what is your mood, like what is it you're feeling like playing right now, and like of these options, like what's appealing to you.
Awesome. Yeah, I think back to you, Josh, really quick. Just from a high level, we talked about how Infusion is changing in the last blog, which, by the way, you should go read it. Can you give a high level for folks that didn't catch the blog? What's changing?
Yeah, at the highest level, upgrade modules are no longer a part of that Infusion thing. They're still going to continue to exist in the game. They can still drop from legacy content, but you can dismantle those for, I think it's an enhancement core and like 1500 Glimmer. And so, like, those are still there. We're going to have a new unstable core currency that's going to exist, and you're going to use that in addition to enhancement cores in order to infuse your gear up for the season.
Okay, and a bit of Glimmer too, right?
Yes.
Okay, cool.
There's that terrible thing they said. For the season. Which means every season, you're gonna have to regrind your gear to get it back up to power, and it's not gonna be like before where it was just 10 power pinnacles higher. Nope, it's gonna be something like 150 points. So if you want to get into Grandmaster shape, you aren't gonna be as well set off as you were before. You're gonna have to do the damn work to be able to run Grandmasters again.
And really at its core, It allows us to just have more texture over things. And one thing I should call out is that seasonal power does reset at the end of this thing, and players will be reset back to 200 when Renegades comes out.
Got it.
So
Cool. Yeah, I think just last note on the power climb. So during our reveal event, you spoke about Crucible and how you can actually power up in Crucible to kind of keep pace with your friends. Like, can you expand on that a bit?
Yeah. So there's a time in Destiny's past when you could just play Crucible a lot, and you can get your power, you get great gear. You could like fold in with your friends to play a raid or the challenging content. And we've kind of lost that somewhat over the years. Like, it's harder to like feel like Crucible is your identity and really feel like the game is rewarding you for that. So with Edge of Fate launch and the core game and the Crucible ops that we have, which is a bunch of playlists inside of it, you're going to be able to like start from that power 10 and just play Crucible, and you'll get power drops. You'll go up and you'll eventually get higher tier, be able to get like really great sets of gear that will then be as good as like anything else that you can find in the game. And you can just play Crucible all the way to the power cap if you want to. We are going to ask you to perform as you go to get more consistent rewards, but it's totally possible.
Yeah, and Josh, you mentioned before too of like trials and competitive Crucible are going to be ways to accelerate. Right?
absolutely, if you're putting yourself in the pools with the like higher skill players and challenging yourself, that's how you're going to get your faster rewards. And not to mention the Trials armor sets and stuff, like they're really cool this time around.
Yeah, we have a unique armor set for Crucible, for Trials. We have weapons, a bunch of cool rewards coming up, and we'll have a preview of that. One of our characters actually has Trials gear if you didn't notice. But now we have a good moment to look at our seasonal hub.
Sure.
Alan, I'm going to ask you to actually walk us through this.
Yeah, sure. If you notice the seasonal hub up there at the top of the portal screen, if you click into that, you come to the hub, which you're going to have a bunch of daily challenges and weekly challenges, and those are going to give you XP, they're going to give you Bright Dust, they're going to give you extra drops on a portal activity, but it's going to give you progress towards the weekly reward track there. And the weekly reward track has lots of currencies and powerful drops on there, but it also has, if you tab to the next one, is going to have some Vanguard Armory and Arsenal tokens, which give you bonus drops from Zavala from the list of weapons or armor you can get from these activities that are going to be higher tier, and they're going to be a higher power than you can get from even getting the best grade in there. So you'll want to be doing these, and these refresh every week, and get 2 pieces of armor and 2 weapons every single week.
Yeah, and this track is free, correct?
Yeah,
This is all game.
It's all free. Everything in the portal is free. So if you scroll down from here, you're going to run into the Conquest page. Now there's 2 on Expert, 2 on Master, and 2 on Grandmaster, and these are effectively your Grandmaster replacements in the portal. These are going to be fixed power, fixed modifiers, no fire team power, and you get really good rewards for completing it. You'll get 4 higher tier engrams for completing each one.
That are powerful. To give you,
Those are higher power, but you'll only be able to get it one time. But these are really about your journey through the season.
They
As
cut
you
to the
level
end
up, you
screen.
take on the first expert one, and then the next expert one, and then the master, and then master 2, and then finally the 2 grandmasters. And with Ash and Iron, we're going to be bringing more grandmaster and ultimate conquest, which will allow you to complete the conqueror title.
Actually,
seal.
really quick gameplay team, if you could go back to the modifiers that you were just hovering over.
Hang on a
actually,
minute.
really
I gotta
quick,
check that. Well, that's great. Well, of all the seasons, it seems like I'm not probably going to be Guild and Conquer anymore, considering they're going all the way up, and I don't have as many people to grind Grandmasters as I did before. So that's great.
Gameplay team, if you could go back to the modifiers that you were just hovering over. This was a really good example of a quality of life feature that came about. We saw a ton of feedback around modifiers, like I'm squinting at these icons, I don't really know what they mean, and now we have them bucketed based on the
Well, that's
portal
because you
options.
compress
You
that.
can more
They're
easily
in the
identify
same
these things.
section of the screen. Hang on. I know you got a fold out menu, but that's because you compress the modifiers to be the bottom left corner of the screen. Like literally, where my mouse is going, every bit of details, they compress them all down here. You didn't have to make this whole fucking menu. You just had to right click and drag upward a little bit and expand them into the empty space that was right here in the menu. See, this is what I mean about Bungie. I feel like there's some very simple solutions to problems, but then they make all these developments and say, hey, we're reworking this to be cooler. And then they do all this work when they just needed to click and drag and expand it a little bit.
Yeah, and shout out to the UI UX team for like making a really much cleaner look for activity launch than having this cool bucket.
Also, here's the thing. This is the same thing, but again, because before you had to mouse over the modifier to read the description. Now you're opening up a menu to mouse over the modifier. How many menus deep is this Inception gonna go?
Really good.
Cool. And then there was one more section on the seasonal hub, one more tab down low for the Conqueror Seal.
Yep. So the Conqueror Seal is down here. You're going to be completing the conquests during the season to earn and gild your Conqueror Seal. And since this is still the Conqueror Seal, it's going to maintain its old gilding. So this is going to be continual.
Awesome.
Yeah.
14 seasons of Conqueror.
Who is
Now
that?
we're going to keep on going, baby.
Oh my god.
Awesome. So I'm going to say we still have a couple topics to cover. Fireteam, let's go ahead, launch into an activity in Fireteam Ops. Throw on a couple modifiers that you want to go for. Mix and match. I'd love for players to see as you go through how the score is changing, how the rewards can.
Not gonna lie, this is taking fucking forever. I know I'm pausing, but they're
For the
how
folks on the
how long
couch,
in this?
We already went through.
Well, they
the seasonal hub,
end.
the
Okay, they
rewards.
went an hour. So,
We are also
I'm behind
having
a little bit.
moment
I've
in
been
time where
ranting so
Guardian
much.
Ranks Are resetting.
Yes.
Yeah, if I could get a quick overview, one of you, I believe, Alan.
Yeah.
Yeah, Alan.
Yeah, so we took a look. So Guardian ranks, when we launched them, the first few ranks were about learning the game, and then the upper ones were about your seasonal journey and dealing with all the different kinds of things a player might do in Destiny. So we've stripped a bunch of those away and rebuilt objectives to be focused completely on the portal. So it's going to be playing through the various activities using.
I think this is also a Bungie issue. With the portal, I've been mentioning about how many things seem like complicated solutions to simple problems. They are going all in on the portal like it is the next thing that will save Destiny. I hate to say it, folks, but the portal just seems like it's gonna be there, but I have no idea how many people are actually gonna be like, oh my god, this changed Destiny. Like, the selection of modifiers, it's cool in theory, but like I just mentioned, there's gonna be some modifiers that are going to be the only things that the entire community picks. And then, next thing you know, they're either gonna get nerfed, or the other ones are gonna be made easier, and then next thing you know, guess what? There's some variety, but it's gonna be too easy, as it happens with Destiny and Bungie. But then, guess what? This, in like picking modifiers, is probably going to be the only thing that Portal is going to be known for. Everything else is going to be fucking ignored, practically.
Using modifiers, playing all the different conquests, gaining power, gaining all the different kinds of rewards. It's going to be really showing like where you're at in that seasonal journey but purely for the portal. It's not going to reflect any dungeons. You're not going to have to solo any dungeons. You're not going to have to get.
Oh, so now they make it so you don't need to solo dungeons to catch up. It only took them fucking 3 years. Jesus fuck.
See what else don't you have to do?
No more expansion gates.
No more expansion gates. Any of those kinds of things. So every player will be able to get up to Guardian rank 11 with Ash and Iron.
Yeah, in our original goals when we were talking about Guardian ranks, it was kind of an on-ramp for players new or even old.
Oh, yeah.
So what do I want to do in Destiny right now? Now we have a lot of stuff.
Oh yeah, Guardian ranks. One of those things that say, hey, by the way, do this activity that's meant for 3 people. You do it solo, you're gonna spend hours of your life, and it's gonna make you hate a dungeon and never want to replay it. But I recommend that you go ahead and do this challenge that a very low percentage of people actually do.
The portal that dovetails into that. Solo
God,
dungeons,
Bungie,
they still have
fucking-
unique rewards.
Oh, yeah.
They're no longer required for 11 in Guardian rank,
Correct.
but you can still get ghosts, sparrows, emblems, that
We're not taking anything away from the dungeons. We're taking away things from the Guardian ranks and adding different kinds of things back in. And since we're doing that, the first 5 ranks will still be sort of an on-ramp into the game. So we're going to drop everybody back down to Guardian rank 2 with Edge of Fate and let them go from there. There will be lots of cool things to do and earn and play through in the first few ranks. And then starting with Ash and Iron, and every season from then on, we'll reset you back to 6, just like we've been doing.
Awesome. Yeah, it's just another portion of what Robbie was talking about with aspiration, where it's like, yeah, I have my awesome armor from all these higher tiers. I have a new Guardian rank above my head. I've gone through the raid. I have this cool tier 5 weapon, et cetera, et cetera. So there's a ton to hunt, a ton to chase, and a lot of things to do. And I think at this point, it's kind of the easiest to get into Destiny and just know what to play. So
yeah, I absolutely believe that. And
Easiest
the
to get into
second part is, like,
Destiny
everyone's journey through
when
Guardian ranks is
countless
kind of different
people are
because,
getting
you
out
know,
of Destiny
Guardian
and
tells you
saying,
to
I'm
accomplish
done,
kind of
goodbye.
power or complete this activity on this difficulty. How you did it will probably be pretty unique to you compared to other players because you chose different modifiers, or there's different sets available for the given day or week, and maybe you did it solo, like we're talking about. Like, oh yeah, you soloed the master difficulty, like one of the requirements in Guardian ranks. Maybe you soloed on one of the conquests, and that's your story, and that's how you got it. But it's appropriate that there are a bunch of options for players to choose that match what their own experiences, what they want it to be.
awesome.
Wait a minute, hang on a minute. They're clearly using Prismatic as they're on Song of Flame, Grapple, and that. Unless that's... Oh, no, that could have been a modifier. I was
Thank you
just
all
about
so
to
much
say.
for joining us
I
today.
guess...
That
Oh,
actually
yeah, they
brings
have a
us
modifier where they can switch to
our
Grapple.
power
I was about to
progression.
say, they're
I
on
believe
Prismatic,
Josh
but no
actually had a couple more things you wanted to say
Transcendence.
before we left, though.
Yeah, really, like, there's two things I want to say. One is that, you know, Fireteam Power's definitely still a thing that's in this game. We really want to encourage you to play with your friends, and when you do play with your friends, if you're a higher power level than them, that's another thing that can act as a nice accelerator for them, and really, like, you know, increase the bonds of friendship. That's like a core part of the DNA of Destiny, is being able to play with fellow Guardians.
Yes. So as an example, if you're at a tier 4 and I'm only tier 2, I join you, we do a tier 4 activity. I still get tier 2 gear, but it's accelerating me faster into tier 3.
You're going to hit your score a lot easier, which is going to help you get those bonus rewards. And yeah,
Got it. Cool. And then your second note?
and yeah, finally, like, we made a lot of changes to the game in the Edge of Fate. Like, we're definitely going to be listening to you Guardians. We're going to be listening to the data. We're going to be listening to a lot of
They only listen to all of us when all of us have a really hateful opinion about something, except in anything in relation to passive-aggressive sunsetting.
stuff. This is just the beginning of a new saga. So we've got a lot.
I
to
wish
do
I
in
could
the
show
future, and
Bungie
I'm
directly
really
my
excited about
comment
what's
section
coming
on
our
that
way.
video,
Awesome.
and just how many people are
So,
tired of
I
their
have a few
shit
bookkeeping,
in my
topics to
sub,
share
or actually
before we
just
go.
over
Last
1,000
bit.
subscriber
So,
community.
we've been talking about the
How
Edge of
many
Fate. Right
people
now,
have
we Rise of
commented
the
about
Night
how
as our
they are
guide.
so full of
And,
Bungie shit?
Let's see here. Ooh, today, wow, 54 minutes ago, we had a new engram go live, the non-airy engram. We introduced this in a previous TWID, but basically it's a new engram. You can earn a bunch of Rite of the Night currency, and then purchase this engram for unique cosmetics that have been introduced over the past few years in Destiny. So if there are things like the skimmer that is Iron Banner theme, kind of like the wolf theme, that's actually in there, and you have a chance to get that. There are some Crimson Doubles emotes and finishers and other cosmetics, so definitely dive in and check that out. Additionally, we had mentioned Lootapalooza. So a couple weeks just before launch, we're going to start showering players with loot. Starting today, we have double Crucible loot, which also applies to Trials of Osiris. So if you're hunting for adepts, if you're hunting for any gear in Crucible, now is a great time to go. And we also have, for the weekend, a lot of players have been asking, what maps are going to be featured? You got Dissonance, you got, Cirrus Plaza, and then you have the last one, which is Eventide Labs. We went through, we had a great conversation about what if we had some type maps on a rotation for these last couple weeks. And for the final week of the season, we're going to have Burnout, Endless Veil, and community favorite, Javelin 4. So Trials players rejoice. Players that may not have ever played Trials, get in, get your 4th Streak, get some adepts, try it out, and get some gear to loot up for the Edge of Fate. And the final note, we are going to have all dungeons in the Rite of the Nine experience next week. Higher reward rates, higher currency rates, helping you get more of those drops.
You know, I still want to point out that during this time, these sort of bonuses didn't seem to exist in the original schedule. In the original schedule of Rite of the Nine, it was a dungeon for 3 weeks, dungeon 2 for 3 weeks, dungeon 3 for 3 weeks, and all 3 dungeons for 1 week. They had no indications of bonuses. Then when they rolled out the expanded and reworked schedule, there was all of these fucking bonuses. So another Bungie backpedal, followed by Sweeteners to say, I'm sorry, please forgive us. But Rite of the Nine it sucks compared to
Going to higher difficulties
Into
for
the Light
epics,
anyways.
and potentially
So-
even get the hollow foil versions with additional perks.
Yeah.
So, awesome. Thank you all so much for joining us. Thank you all on the couch for joining us.
Thank you, Dylan.
Thank you, crew. Thank you, gameplay. Thank you, everybody behind the scenes. And players, everybody out there watching, thank you. We have 14 days until the edge of...
You know what? Nah, I'm done. I'm tired of that. So with that, I just wanted to rant about that whole thing. You know, fucking, what is it? Maybe another 20 minutes of extra commentary added. I'd say that's solid. So, unfortunately, the stream was just going to be this. I know I mentioned playing Destiny 1 Classic, but I have to do a little bit of work to actually get that all hooked up and ready to go. And I am in desperate need of some food, so I'm going to go ahead and end the stream here, and I'm going to say, hopefully within the hour, I will be back up live and just doing some general Destiny 1. Back when